Chapter 5, ILLBM Policies. What are basin management policies? Policies in basin management are the guiding force for cleaner water, healthier ecosystems, and stronger communities. In ILLBM, they are anchored in lakes and their basins. In ILLBM, this vision is broadened to embrace the full lake, river, coastal continuum, recognizing that lentic and lotic systems are inseparable parts of one management reality. This means policies must work not only within the lake basin but also connect with upstream catchment practices, downstream estuarine and coastal protections, and cross-cutting frameworks for water allocation, river coordination, and disaster response. At the same time, policies must serve society more broadly, linking water and environmental priorities to economic development, social equity, cultural continuity, and community well-being. This broader scope shows why the original 6 pillars of governance, policy, institutions, participation, technology, information, and finance, need to be complemented by a 7th pillar, culture and tradition. We call them hardware. By embedding legitimacy and stewardship, policies gain resilience that purely technical measures cannot achieve. In short, ILLBM policies extend lake-based directions outward to meet broader ecological and societal needs. Policies and laws. In ILLBM, policy development follows the same cyclic process as the cyclic platform process for ILLBM. It begins with describing the state of the basin, identifying issues and challenges, integrating ways to strengthen governance pillars, and then assessing improvements. This cycle is repeated, gradually advancing basin governance toward sustainability. What makes this process distinctive is its continuous, long-term nature. Governance improvement is not a one-off policy action, but an iterative process of adaptation and learning. The goal is not simply to produce policies, but to foster the conditions under which policies gain legitimacy, durability, and collective ownership. For ILLBM, every stage of this cycle must interface with related plans and regulations beyond the lake itself. This includes infrastructure development plans such as sewerage systems, flood control works, and agricultural drainage. Water quality management across rivers, groundwater, wetlands, and coasts, which define pollutant and nutrient targets. Regulatory frameworks that address land use, pollution discharge, fisheries, and disaster risk reduction. By systematically connecting with these frameworks, policies avoid becoming isolated. Instead, they become anchored in the lentic core while building outward coherence across upstream, downstream, and coastal domains. Thus, the ILLBM cyclic process is not only about crafting policies, but about ensuring they are embedded in the broader governance fabric of infrastructure, plans, and regulations, evolving continuously toward basin-wide resilience. How an ILLBM policy process can begin. Common requirements. Launching an ILLBM policy process depends on a few essentials that are common everywhere. First, there must be a lead body, an orchestrator with the responsibility to bring people and institutions together. Without someone in charge, the process cannot gain traction. Second, there needs to be some form of authority or leverage that ensures participation. This might be a legal duty to cooperate, a court order, conditions tied to funding or permits, or simply strong public legitimacy that makes it politically difficult to refuse. Third, the process should begin with a lake-focused starter plan. This plan does not need to be perfect or complete, but it should clearly anchor in the lake while linking to upstream rivers, downstream coasts, and wider risk factors such as floods or droughts. Finally, the process must be cyclic and adaptive. By building in regular review and learning, policies can be adjusted to meet changing conditions and new knowledge. Together, these 4 requirements, leadership, authority, a starter plan, and adaptive review, form the backbone of any successful ILLBM policy start. How an ILLBM policy process can begin. Pathways to get started. Different countries and basins have reached this starting point in different ways. Sometimes, laws or government orders created formal basin authorities. In other cases, courts stepped in, forcing agencies to cooperate under judicial supervision. In several contexts, academia has led the way, convening experts and stakeholders to prepare basin or national strategic plans that governments later endorsed. NGOs have also played catalytic roles, mobilizing public support or piloting practical solutions. Often, the most effective approach comes when NGOs and academia work together. Researchers supply knowledge while NGOs bring community legitimacy and pressure for change. Finally, processes sometimes hinge on a champion politician or administrator, someone at the right level of government who takes up the concerns of NGOs and academia and insists on coordinated action. These pathways show that initiation is not one size fits all. It can come from legislatures, courts, academia, NGOs, or committed leaders, each providing a different entry point to start the cycle of ILLBM policy development. Who develops and implements policies? National and local governments continue to lead policy development, with local governments, authorities, and community organizations central to implementation. The ILLBM approach encourages them to liaise not only across administrative boundaries but also across such integrating frameworks as Integrated Water Resources Management, IWRM, Integrated River Basin Management, IRBM, Disaster Risk Reduction, DRR, Integrated Coastal Zone Management, ICZM, and Integrated Groundwater Management, IGM. Environmental ministries, basin councils, groundwater agencies, and DRR offices become policy partners alongside municipalities and NGOs. For instance, a municipal solid waste policy may link with a river flood management plan, while a lake fisheries bylaw connects with coastal fisheries rules. The relay of responsibilities extends upstream and downstream, making policies stronger together. ILLBM national policies and strategic plans. National policies often span water, environment, land, fisheries, and disaster management, each under a different ministry. This can fragment action, but lake policies provide a natural starting point for connecting these sectors. For cooperation to move beyond goodwill, it needs legal and institutional backing. A water plan becomes more effective when environmental standards, land use regulations, fisheries laws, and disaster frameworks are formally integrated, rather than merely coordinated informally. In this process, established national and international frameworks, such as IWRM, IRBM, DRR, and IGM, serve as the common reference points. When these frameworks are written into laws or binding agreements, they provide a shared foundation that ministries must respect. Step by step, this alignment transforms lake-focused programs into coherent national strategies that are both practical and enforceable. Checking if policies work. Policies must be revisited and updated over time. Under ILLBM, this means not only reviewing effectiveness at the lake core, but also asking whether the policy aligns with broader basin frameworks. But the environment around these policies is changing. Climate variability, extreme floods and droughts, new land use pressures, and emerging pollution sources can shift basin behavior in unexpected ways. Regular review should therefore include a check on how well policies anticipate and respond to such evolving risks. A practical approach is to compare current policy provisions against 4 well-established coordination frameworks: IWRM allocation rules, IRBM agreements, DRR contingency measures, and groundwater recharge protections. By combining alignment with adaptability, lake-focused initiatives remain relevant and resilient instead of becoming outdated or isolated. Putting it all together. Policies are the backbone of sustainable basin governance. Under the ILLBM approach, their strength comes not from taking on every responsibility, but from anchoring in the lentic core and linking outward to connected frameworks and cultural legitimacy. A lake water quality policy continues to reduce nutrients, but it gains durability by aligning with upstream land use rules, downstream biodiversity protections, and cultural stewardship traditions. Policies thus connect across ecological and cultural dimensions, ensuring both technical effectiveness and social acceptance, the essence of the seventh pillar of hardware. Closing. Policies provide the backbone of adaptive basin governance. The ILLBM approach strengthens them by anchoring in lakes and wetlands while systematically linking to established frameworks such as IWRM, IRBM, DRR, and IGM. It also grounds these linkages in cultural traditions, community values, and locally rooted practices. When policies across sectors are coordinated in this way, they reinforce one another, building trust, legitimacy, and resilience across the basin. Whether in rapidly urbanizing catchments, storm-prone coastal areas, or basins long stressed by competing water uses, such integrated governance lays the foundation for a more sustainable future.